Guys, I'm not going to keep this long. You know it. When real men can't sleep, real men do the news. And so here I am doing the news. It's 11 something at night. We are going into Saturday. I wanted to show a clear picture of some of the drones. Now, as I pointed out before, 99% of anything that's going to be in the sky is going to be ours. It would be weird if that wasn't the case. I don't really care about the 99%. I care about the one. Now, it's the 1% that looks weird. It's the 1% that looks strange or have odd flight characteristics that I am talking about. As I pointed out before, when Kirby came out and gave his statement, I strongly suspect that what he did was talk about the ones that were misidentifications. So ones that were airplanes, or for that matter, ones that were just drones that any random person would have access to. That is not really what people are talking about, and that's not necessarily what people are concerned about, though. It's the other drones, the ones that seem like military drones that are the size of trucks or that are like 6 feet in length. It's those. And then you have another type that are these kind of glowing round orbs that people are identifying. Now, these things are all over Jersey. These things have been, at this point, all over the US, even on military bases where they've had to shut down the airspace because of the drones in the airspace. I've also shown videos of pilot conversations that they were having when they were looking at several drones in a particular area or in a particular airspace, meaning having absolute conversations about this stuff. Kirby and the government are not entirely being honest with us. I don't necessarily believe that there's a threat in the way that they're saying that there's not a threat. But it's super weird to me that they're having top secret conversations about what it is. If indeed it's just hobby drones and just random people, and it's not the government for that matter. It is a very strange phenomenon, meaning the government needs to be able to explain what this is. And just going with this idea of it's not a threat, don't worry about it, it's not that big of a deal, that's very weird. They shut down the airspace in Jersey and they shut down the airspace in certain parts of New York because what they didn't know where it was coming from. They didn't know what to get a handle on it. And that's assuming that this is not some project that the government is effectively running. Now, the interesting thing to me is that it seems that there are multiple things that seem to be happening at once. There seems to be the regular drones, random Joe Schmo, regular drone. There seems to be another type that seems to be far more sophisticated, but it's still us. And what I mean by us, I often make this point, either it's us or it's not. And then there's the orb. So I want to show a picture of the orb drone so people would know what we are talking about. So this is probably the clearest image of an orb that I have seen. This was an air pilot who was outside in his yard having a conversation with his friend when this hovered over their heads.
Yeah,
And it apparently stayed there for a while.
yeah.
Look at that. It's like a little ball of plasma. That's so wild. I think Joe Rogan said this is the slowest alien invasion ever. But you can imagine seeing that. That's super weird.
Yeah,
Like, because keep in mind, this is not like we're at night and there's a little light in the sky and it's very far away. And you can't necessarily tell what it is because the light itself is taking control of the overt view of it, meaning it's so bright that you can't necessarily see any of the underlying elements in it because it's nighttime. This is a bit different. This is in the daytime, and it is bright enough
yeah.
to be clear as it floats through. Now, the guy that caught this was a former Air Force veteran with extensive expertise in aircraft and drones, described the object as exceptionally bright orb hovering at an altitude of approximately 25,000 feet. The sighting began while the witness and his friends were conversing in their front yard. The orb slowly approached their location but reversed direction after roughly 10 minutes, remaining visible
Yeah.
over an hour and a half before vanishing from
Yeah.
sight. So think about it for a moment. Under normal circumstances, drones may go for about 20, 30 minutes. That's it. Before they need a battery change or they need something else that would allow their battery to keep going. If you have a drone that is putting out this much energy to be this bright, how long would that battery last with something putting out that much light and that much energy? Not to mention hovering for over an hour as it floated in one location or the other and then eventually just floated away. That's pretty astonishing. That is pretty damn astonishing. Let's hear it one more time. And then I want to give you the reporting that has been coming out of Jersey also. Because the stuff that they're reporting is just astonishing. Some of these things are not emitting radio waves. Of course, you have drones that look like this.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's not entirely true. When I was in Egypt, I saw something like this. I think I've told the story before. When I was in Egypt, I used to develop this thing of looking up at the sky. And there was something that looked like that. And as I was looking at it, and as I was thinking at it, because in UFO literature, thinking at it often produces a response. There's often this belief in the UFO circles that consciousness has something to do with the phenomena. But either way, as I was thinking at it, it went from something that looked like that and blew up to maybe a fourth of the size of the sun. At which point we go under a bridge and I lose sight of it because we're no longer in location. But it looked like that. This kind of orb that blew up at the point where you were looking at it or concentrating on it. That is weird. That is very weird. Now, going further in that weirdness, listen to this report. I believe this is News Nation. They've been really following this pretty well. But listen to what he says. Because what's also weird about this, come on. Okay, there we are. Because what's also weird about this is that the number of drones. So when the Coast Guard was talking about being followed, and they were saying like 20 to 30 drones was just following the ship as they were going away, they said they were being harassed by it. That is a lot of drones. Meaning, if you're talking about one person, okay, that's a lot of drones for one person to control. Even if you're talking about 10 people, that's a lot of drones for people to control and coordinate. Now, if you're talking about autonomous drones, where these drones are flying on their own, okay, well, that's a different animal, but it's still pretty wild that you have that many doing something. Why do you have that many? What are they doing? What are they inspecting? And why do you need that many for them to inspect? Like, that is very weird. It's one thing if they're saying, okay, well, people are playing hobby drones. Okay, fair enough. Why are there 20 following the Coast Guard? Very strange. And who is allowed to engage the drones in the airspace? And apparently, state is not allowed, short of somebody being attacked or somebody, to protect themselves. Um, I will show the orb one more time just to close it. But something weird is happening. And it seems to be several things at once that seems to be taking place. And the federal government does not seem to be honest about what is happening. I don't know what they know. I don't know what they're hiding. But the fact they're having top secret briefings does not necessarily instill me with the most confidence that they're being straight and honest with the American public on what's taking place. Something strange is happening. I'm not even, it is even possible that the federal government, it's their drones, it's our drones, meaning it's our military or spy drones or whatever. And they're looking at stuff like this. Meaning, what if the initial reports that were coming out for everybody, the federal government were aware, didn't entirely know what it was or have a handle on it, and started sending up their own drones in order to figure out what these things are? And you have a bunch of drones flying all around looking for these type drones, meaning these are the anomalies that they may be looking for. I don't know, I'm speculating. I just talking out my ass. But something weird is happening. And clearly, those other drones, those big ones, seem to be ours. This, I don't know what that is. Yeah, I have no idea what that is. So, clear drone and reporting on what people were seeing. And if you can imagine, what if there's 60 of those? Okay, that's weird. Even if it's 60 of our drones, that is weird. Yeah, they need to be answers. And it's not sufficient for either Biden or, well, Biden is out to lunch, um, Kirby, or any of the other ones to be like, oh, well, there's nothing to see here, folks. Everybody's safe. They're not a foreign actor. It's not us. We don't know what it is, but everybody's safe, despite the fact that we don't know what it is. No, I don't have any fear associated with it, but it is weird. Like I said, I started paying attention to it when the federal government, when it was clear that the federal government was lying to the American public. Now, I don't know if they have a handle on it or not. The fact that they're shining a light on it is somewhat indicative that they don't know what it is. Um, but it's weird. It's very weird. I'm going to say like, I'm going to say share, and I am going to say subscribe. You guys have a phenomenal night. Sleep tight all.